We had been together for 4 years, but Willow never once acknowledged our relationship in public. At first, I thought it was because she had once dated my older brother, and she was afraid he might mind, so we kept things secret. But later, I found out the real reason. She had always seen me and my brother as substitutes for her first love. She kept me on the hook while waiting for that ex to return to the country. What she never expected was that her so-called first love only saw her as a simp, someone to toy with, and just when she was filled with regret and wanted to come back to me, determined to start a proper life together, she found herself attending my engagement party, not as the bride, but as a guest. Chapter 1. I had just gotten home when my older brother, Kevin, smacked me on the head. You still remember where home is? I rubbed my head and gave a small smile, then sank into the couch. Kevin handed me a glass of water and placed it in front of me. So, your girlfriend of 4 years didn't come back with you again, huh? He continued. Last time you said if she doesn't show up this year, you'd follow mom and dad's arrangement and get married. You promised. I know. Just go ahead and arrange it. I don't have any objections. My voice echoed clearly through the spacious villa. Kevin seemed pleased with my response. You're finally being reasonable. Had a change of heart. Hearing the subtle approval in his tone, I lowered my eyes and let a faint curve rise at the corner of my lips. I was young before, but it's been 2 years since I graduated. Time to grow up. I don't want to worry mom and dad anymore. Kevin grew more and more satisfied as I spoke. He knew I used to be rebellious, so this sudden maturity caught him off guard. He reached out and ruffled my hair. I'll give you a month. Don't drag it out. This girl is the daughter of one of Dad's old army buddies. She's outstanding in every way. I'm honestly worried you won't be good enough for her. I glared at him, annoyed. Kevin just grinned and said, by the way, who was that girlfriend of yours? I heard she's older than you. Last time I visited you in C-City, you dodged me the whole time. Is it someone I know? I was getting irritated. As I got up to head to my room, I muttered a faint yeah, not just no. The moment I closed my door, my phone rang. Caller ID. Ex-sister-in-law. I stared at the screen for a moment before picking up. Willow's voice came through, lazy and cold, tinged with a trace of displeasure. Little rascal, haven't I told you, if you don't pick up within 3 rings, I get upset. Yeah, you're still up, I said flatly. I can't sleep unless you comfort me. Her voice was the kind that could melt bones. And now, with a hint of flirtation, it was absolutely lethal. My brother's still awake. It's not convenient. I'll talk to you tomorrow after I'm back in C-City. I said this calmly. She replied with a simple fine, and hung up. That's how she was, clingy like a cat 1 second, and cold as ice the next. The next day, I rushed back to C-City, and the moment I walked in, she wrapped herself around me, her soft lips pressed against mine, lighting a fire in my gut. Willow wore a satin slip dress. One of the straps hung loosely off her shoulder. Sexy as hell. Her damp, warm breath sprayed across my neck with every word. Under the dim lights, the atmosphere was thick with desire. How's your brother doing? I frowned. Don't you have his number? Ask him yourself. Willow poked at my bare, heated chest with a teasing finger. What's wrong, my little rascal? Jealous? It's not like he knows about us. I gave a bitter laugh. Wasn't it you who didn't want him to know? Yeah. Well, I'm doing this for your own good. If your brother finds out I got together with his precious little brother just 6 months after we broke up, what do you think? Wouldn't he be furious? Hearing Willow's teasing and seductive tone, my lashes lowered as I asked in a deep voice. So, in your eyes, what am I? Just someone to flirt with, or your boyfriend? The moment I asked that question, Willow's expression changed. What's wrong with you again? If you're not my boyfriend, why would I be living with you? You think I'm so desperate for a man? Then, just as quickly, she softened. Her fingers hooked around my belt as she kissed my lips again. Let's go to the bedroom. I've been missing you, baby. I took a deep breath and gently pushed her away. I'm a bit tired today. You go sleep first. Willow raised an eyebrow slightly, then turned and walked away. Okay, whatever you want. I listened to the sound of her slippers tapping down the hall and shook my head, repeating the word again in my heart. Boyfriend. Ha, what a ridiculous word. She really thinks I don't know. I was nothing more than a stand-in. Not just me, even my brother was. The first time I met Willow was 5 years ago. Back then, she was Kevin's girlfriend. They were the same age, 6 years older than me. Her name, Willow, suited her well, cool, elegant, with a face that was refined but never vulgar, easily rivaling any top-tier celebrity. But her personality, bold and fiery. The first time we met, she flirted with me so naturally it turned my teenage face bright red. After that, whenever they invited me out, I deliberately avoided going. She was my brother's girlfriend. If they got married, she'd be my sister-in-law. I was afraid that if I liked her too much, I'd cross a line I shouldn't. Later, they broke up, and I thought that was the end of it. Until one day in my junior year at university in C-City, I ran into her at a bar. Willow was tipsy, swaying on stage, singing a haunting rendition of past events drift like wind. Her voice was silky, almost sensual, and it hit me right in the heart. She seemed to spot me from the stage. After the song, she came down and practically collapsed in my arms, like she had no bones left. That night, she took home the younger brother she had unknowingly turned into an emotional mess. She reeked of alcohol, mixed with the heady scent of tuberose from her diptyque perfume, pure temptation. I looked after her, and while undressing her jacket to put her to bed, she suddenly wrapped her arms around my neck. In a lazy, sultry voice, she asked me, "Do you like me?" I nodded. Willow said, "Then let's be together." And then, with lips full of lust, she kissed me hard. Chapter 2. From that moment on, I fell into the warm embrace of this older woman, and I couldn't pull myself out. And Willow, she started playing the relationship game with me. A woman like her, a queen bee who used to toy with men like a pro, actually settled down a bit. She rarely went out to party anymore, and sometimes she'd even join me for a round or two of video games when she was in the mood. Starting from junior year when we got together, I never went home during holidays, except for Lunar New Year and Mid-Autumn Festival. Every time Kevin asked, I used "I'm busy" or "working on my thesis" as excuses to dodge the topic. Once, Kevin even drove all the way from City A to see me, and the three of us nearly ran into each other. That time, I seriously considered telling him about my relationship with Willow. I mean, it wasn't like I was interfering with anything. She was his ex. After all, they had already broken up before Willow and I got together. But Willow didn't want that. Then a few days ago, Willow brought me to a poker game at her best friend's place, the one who had just returned from abroad. The moment that friend saw me, she looked surprised. "Oh my God, Willow, where'd you find this boy toy? He looks even more like Makoto than the last one." What was his name again? Go something? That was the first time I ever heard the name Makoto in connection with Willow. After some digging, I finally learned the truth. Makoto was Willow's first love. They started dating in school and were together for years. Then he went abroad. No one really knew why they broke up. But ever since then, no matter who Willow flirted with or dated, every man had something in common with Makoto, a textbook case of replacing a lost lover with similar types. My brother was one of them, and me, even more so. Now that I think about it, maybe the moment she first saw me, I'd already become her next target. I also learned that back in the day, Makoto loved a certain fashion magazine, so Willow, determined to catch his eye, vowed to land on its cover. That's how she ended up becoming a model. Once I understood everything, I stopped struggling. This trip home, I agreed to follow Kevin's advice and let my family arrange a marriage. I didn't want to love someone like that anymore. No matter how hard it would be, I was done. The next evening, Willow flung open her wardrobe and tried on every outfit she had. She always favored those seductive, trophy stepmom-style dresses. But today, surprisingly, she picked a French-style Chanel-inspired jacket, elegant and refined. I looked at her, puzzled. It's just a movie. Why dress up so fancy? Willow's hand paused midway through fixing her hair. She walked over and sat on my lap, hooking her finger under my chin with a look of gentle apology. "Sorry, baby. I forgot to tell you, there's a really important party tonight. I can't go to the movies, but I'll come back afterward and spend time with you." She gave me a light kiss on the lips after saying that. Then she stood up to finish getting ready. Before she left, she turned and asked, "So, do I look good?" Of course she did. No exaggeration. If you lined up all the men and women who liked Willow, they'd stretch from here to the bund. If it were before, I'd have begged for more kisses before letting her go. But today, I just kept playing my game, barely looking up. "Yeah, you look good." Willow didn't notice anything off. She even pretended to be annoyed and warned me, "While I'm out, don't go flirting with girls you met through your games. Got it?" I nodded quietly. Only then did she turn and leave. Suddenly, the phone on the table started ringing. It was Willow's. She had left in such a rush, she'd forgotten to take it with her. I grabbed the phone and ran out after her. But the call came through again and again. Left with no choice, I answered it. Just as I opened my mouth to speak, a girl's anxious voice cut in ahead of me. "Willow, where the hell are you? Makoto's already here. He just asked if you were coming." I froze. My heart tensed up in an instant, tightening painfully in my chest. But my voice stayed calm, steady. She forgot her phone. "I'm bringing it to her now." The girl on the other end clearly hadn't expected anyone else to pick up. She gave a startled laugh and quickly said thanks before hanging up. So, her first love is back. No wonder she forgot all about our plan to see the premiere tonight. No wonder she dressed up so carefully and even changed her usual style. I guess that French chic outfit must be what Makoto prefers. Right then, Willow walked through the door and saw me holding her phone. I handed it to her. She tapped the screen and immediately saw the recent call log. Someone called. My expression was unreadable. "Yeah, your friend said everyone's already there. They're waiting on you." She didn't say anything else. No, what else would she say? Only then did Willow seem relieved. She turned and left again. Women really are strange. I really think women are strange. She's clearly rushing off to meet her first love, and yet she's still worried about whether I've noticed anything else. It's not like she's afraid I'll find out and break up with her. That ridiculous thought. Even I find it kind of laughable. Chapter 3. Just as well, since Willow wasn't home, I had time to pack. I sent everything I couldn't carry ahead to City A. When I opened the closet, most of the space was filled with her stuff, and most of those were gifts I had given her. Back then, Willow would always say, "This doesn't really suit me." Perfect. I took the chance to toss everything while I packed. No need to let it take up space. After everything was packed, I carried it all downstairs. On my way back from the delivery, I happened to see Willow stepping out of a black car. Alongside her was a man a full head taller. They stood a polite distance apart, saying something to each other. Then, the man gave her a courteous hug. Maybe she sensed someone watching. She looked up and met my gaze. For a second, our eyes locked. She quickly stepped back, pretending nothing had happened. They said their goodbyes, and Willow walked over to me, naturally hooking her arm around mine. She even reached out and wiped the sweat off my face from carrying the packages. "What are you doing out here sending packages in the middle of the night?" "Just mailing some stuff I don't need back home." I wasn't lying, but Willow didn't ask any more questions. Maybe, she just didn't care. That thought stung, and I laughed bitterly inside, seeing the joy written all over her face. There was no doubt in my mind that man just now was Makoto. Her smile had always been the kind that was flirtatious and sexy, that came from muscle memory, years of being a model. Even with me, she smiled the same way. I used to think that's just how she was, but now I realize it wasn't, because at that moment, Willow's face held a kind of shy sweetness I'd never seen before, the kind of expression only a girl in her first love would wear. When we got home and she started changing, Willow finally noticed something was off. "Where are all the things you bought for me?" she asked. I replied calmly, "I threw them out. They were just collecting dust." Willow raised an eyebrow at me, then slung her arms around my neck. Her breath carried a faint trace of alcohol. "Don't tell me you've been flirting with some little college girl again." Gave it all to her. I knew she was joking. She never had that much possessiveness toward me. It was just a habit some people have. Even if they don't want something, they still don't want others to have it. Willow was that kind of person. "No, I didn't," I answered. Only then did she seem reassured. She even spoke in a tone of gentle comfort. "Well, it's fine if you threw it out. There'll always be more later." I didn't respond. There won't be any more. Watching Willow head into the bathroom, I let out a long sigh. That's who she was. Never treasuring what she had. Always thinking there'd be a next time. But how many next times are there in life? At least, not for us anymore. Right before bed, I suddenly remembered something and asked her. "I booked a restaurant for tomorrow. Want to go have dinner together?" Willow turned and curled up in my arms, just about to say something, when her phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID and immediately pulled away from me. She got out of bed and said, "You go ahead and sleep," then went downstairs to take the call. Before Makoto came back, Willow had always answered her phone right in front of me, open and casual. Now, it was obvious who the call was from. At first, she spoke in a low voice. Maybe she thought I had fallen asleep. A moment later, I heard her softly call his name. When she didn't get a response, her voice got louder. We lived in a loft apartment, the kind where the upstairs and downstairs weren't soundproofed. I wasn't trying to listen, but Willow's gentle tone and the occasional laughter drifted up clearly. They were talking, starting with school memories, then life abroad, then who knows what else. One thing was certain, she never mentioned me, not even once. Of course not. Why would she? I was nothing more than a placeholder in her male substitute narrative. Now that the real one had returned, we stand-ins faded into the background. Eventually, I fell asleep, listening to the sound of her voice meant for someone else. Around noon the next day, one of my best buddies from college came to see me. He even brought a nicely wrapped gift. Willow answered the door, and as soon as he walked in, David greeted her sweetly. "Hey, pretty sister." I was just coming downstairs when David shouted excitedly. "So, birthday boy, where are we partying tonight? I'm totally going to make you treat me big time." The moment she heard the words birthday boy, Willow paused mid-slice as she was cutting fruit. It was obvious she had forgotten today was my birthday. Only then did she seem to remember what I said last night about reserving a restaurant. She didn't say anything about it, just walked over and casually placed the fruit platter on the coffee table with a sexy smile. "George's birthday tonight. Huh? Wherever you guys want to go, it's on me." David grinned and agreed enthusiastically. Willow smiled back at him, but she didn't notice the flicker of sarcasm beneath my lowered lashes. The three of us played a few rounds of cards. Then Willow went to the bathroom. As I passed by to grab something, I overheard her making a phone call. She was asking someone to help her quickly track down a graphics card, the one I had been wanting the most. It took me a second to place it. That conversation happened a month ago. I game a lot, and I'm picky when it comes to graphics cards. I remember casually mentioning a specific model during one of our chats. I didn't even think she was listening. Hell, I forgot I even brought it up. And yet, she remembered. I found that a little unbelievable. How could she remember something I only mentioned once in passing, but forget something as basic as my birthday? Chapter 4. As I sat down and looked at the cards in my hand, something suddenly became clear. It's just like playing cards. Before you have the joker, the highest card in your hand is the most precious. But once the joker shows up, every other card, no matter how strong, can be used as bait for the next player. I was that card, the one used in place of the joker. Now that the joker's back, of course I don't matter anymore. After nightfall, Willow took David and me out for dinner. Then she brought us to the most exclusive nightclub in Sea City. She had reserved the biggest VIP booth right in the center. David was stunned. He kept praising her and marveling at my amazing luck for landing such a generous girlfriend. Just the three of us, and we got this kind of treatment. I sneered inwardly. Generous? If I told him the truth, he definitely wouldn't think so. After we sat down, Willow took a seat next to me. She ran her hand over my face and said, "What's wrong, baby? You don't look too happy. Come on, give your big sis a smile." But I couldn't. Seeing I still didn't react, she added, "Well then, let me give you a birthday present first. You've always wanted to meet my friends, right? I'll introduce you tonight." When she said that, I was genuinely confused. Wasn't it her who always said we needed to keep separate social circles? That couples should have their own freedom. So why introduce me now? Too late anyway. Next month, I'll be leaving Sea City. Thinking about it now, it's all just bitterly ironic. In less than half an hour, most of Willow's friends had arrived. Men and women, many from the fashion world, flawless bodies, impeccable outfits. Every one of them looked like they walked out of a high-end magazine spread. People at other tables were openly staring. Well, Willow, is this your little boy toy? He's really good looking. Nice presents too. How about signing him with our company? We'll get you into showbiz. Handsome. Willow giggled lazily and leaned into my arms. She gave her girlfriends a teasing glare. Come on, you vultures. Don't corrupt my little rascal. He's... Halfway through her sentence, a familiar figure appeared at the edge of the booth. Willow's smile instantly froze. Makoto. With an easy smile, he calmly sat down across from her. "Sorry," he said. "Sophia invited me but didn't mention today was your boyfriend's birthday. So I didn't bring a gift." Sophia was Willow's best friend. They'd known each other since middle school. She knew everything about Willow. Willow shot her a glance. Sophia covered her mouth and mouthed, "I didn't know either." Willow stood there awkwardly, unsure what to say, so I picked up my wine glass first. "Hi, I'm George. First time meeting, shall we toast?" Makoto smiled faintly and picked up an empty glass from the table, his expression almost apologetic. "Hi, I'm Willa's friend. Just got back to the country. It's been a long time since we last saw each other." Willa. Heh, how affectionate. I noticed Makoto had no intention of actually pouring any wine into his glass, and my brow twitched slightly. David, ever the loyal wingman, took it upon himself to pour Makoto a full glass. Everyone here was one of Willow's close friends. Naturally, they more or less knew what was going on. Faced with this unfolding drama, most of them fell silent in embarrassment. Makoto didn't touch his glass, and I didn't lower mine either. We just sat there, eyes locked across the table, smiling faintly at each other. Willow told me before that her boyfriend looked a little like me. Seeing you now, I guess she wasn't wrong. Chapter 5. No one at the table could have imagined that what seemed like a peaceful yet subtly tense atmosphere would be turned into a full-blown battlefield by just one sentence from Makoto. As for me, I didn't care. I just kept smiling. "Is that so? Well then," I said, my gaze falling on the wine glass Makoto was holding. "We have to toast with this glass of wine. So many people here, and we just happen to look alike. Guess that's fate, right?" Makoto smiled and nodded. "Sure, I'll drink." He leisurely picked up his glass, but his eyes were directed at Willow. Willow couldn't sit still any longer. She reached over and grabbed Makoto's glass. "He can't drink. He's allergic to alcohol. I'll drink it for him." Then, without a second thought, she downed the full glass of Chivas. The sharp burn of the liquor made her cough uncontrollably, and Makoto, naturally, handed her a tissue. Once she recovered a bit, a smile tugged at the corner of Makoto's lips. "You still remember that I can't drink after all these years?" I watched the two of them, and let out a scoff. The atmosphere in the room dropped to absolute zero. Even a fool could tell that there was more to their relationship than met the eye. Every word they said was tinged with subtle flirtation, and yet they never explicitly addressed it. It was hard not to wonder. Eventually, It was Sophia who quickly stepped in to break the tension. All right, enough with the drama. Let's just drink and play. I'll take Makoto's drink for him. Come on, let's go. With someone leading the charge, the others were more than happy to get along. They quickly started playing the game. It was a simple drinking game, tearing napkins. The rules were easy. The first person had to bite down on a piece of napkin, and it would be passed to the next person, who also had to tear it with their mouth. It continued until there was no napkin left, or until someone refused to continue. The person who refused had to take a punishment. I don't even know who suggested the game. But when it was my turn to pass the napkin to Willow, only a small piece was left on her lips. Willow was sitting on the far edge of the sofa. According to the rules, it was the person opposite her's turn next. And who was sitting opposite her, if not Makoto? Given the size of the remaining napkin, it was impossible to continue playing without it ending up looking like a kiss. The atmosphere froze again, but this battlefield was just too intriguing. Everyone's eyes were darting around, unsure of who to watch. I sat back, enjoying the scene, curious about how Willow would handle it. But unexpectedly, it was Makoto who gave up the game first and chose to take the punishment. Truth or dare? Pick one. Knowing Makoto's personality, of course, he picked truth. Someone, probably enjoying the chaos, spoke up. Which one do you love more, your ex or your current partner? The moment the question was asked, the room fell silent. Makoto seemed to think it over for a second, then smirked, looking at Willow. Of course, the crowd held its breath in anticipation, and some even pulled out their phones to record. Others, meanwhile, kept a close eye on my reaction. What reaction could I possibly have? No matter if today's situation was a coincidence, or if someone deliberately set this up under the guise of my birthday, I wouldn't be shaken. With everyone waiting on him, Makoto continued, of course, I love my current partner, if I had one. When he said, current partner, I could see Willow's eyes redden almost immediately. In the dim light, no one else could see, but I caught it clearly. The game changed again, but Willow was completely distracted. In the end, she picked up her purse and walked out. I smiled. After being with Willow for 4 years, I thought I knew her well. This woman never overthinks anything, always keeping her emotions light and breezy. But who would have thought that one sentence from Makoto would break her composure? Now she had even walked out on the spot, leaving me alone in a crowd of strangers. By the end, the familiar faces had gathered in small groups, chatting amongst themselves. Many of them knew Makoto. David had left early, and I had drunk quite a bit myself, feeling drowsy. The next time I opened my eyes, everyone was gone. Only Makoto and a man I didn't recognize were left. Then, I overheard Makoto talking to the guy next to him. Makoto, Willow's liked you for so long. You really don't plan on getting back together with her? Makoto took a sip from his glass. Willow's different from other women. You can't use the same approach to get a girl. You need to know what works for her. You wouldn't understand. The man was taken aback. Aren't you allergic to alcohol? Makoto chuckled. I used to be, but I'm fine now. I only drank earlier to see if she still had feelings for me. The man nodded, impressed. Only you, Makoto. You really are the big king of the seas. Even someone like Willow, you've got her under control. After saying that, the man suddenly got chills down his spine. Following his gaze, he noticed me, standing there with my arms crossed, smiling in amusement. Makoto frowned slightly. Eavesdropping isn't very polite, you know. Chapter 6. Eavesdropping. I shook my head in silence. Ito-san, don't you think you should speak up a bit? The people at the next table can hear you. Makoto, seeing my expression, knew that I had heard everything that could be heard, so he gave up pretending. You really think Willow likes you? Kid, take a good look in the mirror. She's only with you because you remind her of me. The man next to him chimed in. Exactly. Do you really think you could get with Willow? Dream on. I've never been the type to engage in verbal sparring. I just sat there quietly, watching the two of them put on their act. When Makoto saw that I didn't say anything, he assumed I was just insecure. He stood up with a mocking smile, straightened his clothes, and walked off. The large booth was suddenly empty, with only me left. Willow. Oh Willow. So this is what you call love. I left the bar, and it was already 4 a.m. It rains often in Sea City during this season. It was cold, but the air was fresh. In a city that never truly sleeps, the streets were quieter than ever at this hour. I walked slowly along the road, enjoying the rare peace and quiet. I remembered a friend once told me that no matter how long you've lived in Sea City, no matter how many times you walk down the same road, you'll never find that feeling of home. I didn't understand it before, but now, I did. I thought about a lot of things on the way home. From meeting Willow, to getting together, to realizing I was just a stand-in for Makoto. Everything seemed to have its signs. For instance, the gifts Willow gave me, the clothes she bought for me, they were never really my style. She had always loved someone else. For me, She just wanted to mold me into the image of that person. The irony was that her so-called deep love and her first love from when she was young, it was really just her being treated as a different kind of girl by him. To put it bluntly, in Makoto's eyes, she was just a woman who was slightly more difficult to get than the others. I wonder how Willow would feel if she knew this. By the time I got home, the sky was just beginning to lighten. On the table, there was the graphics card I had been wanting for so long. After washing up, I went to bed, only to see the trash can filled with used tissues. Willow had probably cried for quite a while after she came back. When I woke up again, it was to a barrage of calls from Kevin. Kevin scolded me, saying that he and my parents had sent me birthday messages and tried to transfer money to me, but I hadn't responded. He thought I had died somewhere. I gave a quick reply. Then Kevin got to the point. He said the person my family had arranged for me knew it was my birthday and had specially sent me a gift. He asked whether they should send it to me or wait for me to open it when I got back. Probably hearing some noise upstairs, Willow walked in. When she saw I was awake, she casually asked, "On the phone?" Kevin froze for a moment, his voice recognizing something familiar, and he sounded incredulous. I could have sworn I heard Willow's voice. My heart skipped a beat, and I quickly brushed it off, saying, "How could that be?" Kevin thought about it for a second, then seemed to brush it off. The brothers exchanged a few more words before hanging up. Willow, naturally, lay down beside me, propping her head up as she looked at me. "What was your brother calling about?" I turned off the phone. "Nothing, just about the person my family's trying to set me up with." A flash of displeasure passed through Willow's eyes, and she hooked her arm around my neck. Her seductive eyes made it hard not to be drawn in. "You can only be mine. No one else is allowed to even look at you." If it were before, the moment Willow said that, I would have been all over her. But now, I could only sneer. "I'm yours, and you're someone else's." How laughable. I pulled Willow's hand off and asked, "Fine then. So, will you come home with me?" Chapter 7. Willow knew her little boyfriend was definitely mad. After all, what happened yesterday was witnessed by everyone there. Still angry, I wasn't feeling well yesterday, so I just went home. "If you're going to make a fuss over that, then I've got nothing more to say." After saying that, she turned coldly and got out of bed, walking downstairs without another glance. I watched her back, but didn't react at all. This woman really knows how to play the game. She uses her advantages to the fullest. She was the one clearly in the wrong, but with just one sentence, she shifted all the blame onto me. Before, I would have probably spent half the day coaxing her until she calmed down, but now, I don't want to bother anymore. There's only a month left before I leave. Suddenly I remembered, there was one time I asked Willow what she'd do if I ever fell in love with someone else. She replied, "Then your sister will never want you again." Then she got mad, and I had to comfort her for ages before she finally forgave me. After that, just to avoid upsetting her, I almost completely cut ties with all my female friends. But Willow, she chatted with different guys practically every day. She's naturally attractive, almost no guy dislikes her. Whenever she chatted with a guy, there was always this subtle flirtatious vibe, even if she claimed it was harmless. If I ever got jealous, she'd toss out, "He's just a friend. Don't be so petty." But if I didn't say anything, she'd put on that cold face like, "Whatever, do what you want." I used to think, that's just how she is, but now I finally understand. What they say is true, the ones you can't have always stir your heart. The ones who are favored act fearlessly. When I came downstairs to eat, I saw Willow changing clothes, her suitcase already packed. I didn't ask. She's a fashion model and often travels out of town for shoots. Given that Cold War we had earlier, I knew she wouldn't say a word unless I softened up first. Just then, a WeChat notification popped up on her phone. I glanced over. It was a message from Makoto. "Willow, I'm downstairs, waiting for you." That's when it hit me. I was holding Willow's phone. We had the same model, and both our fingerprints were registered. We'd mixed them up before. I let out a dry laugh, set the phone down, and picked up mine. That's when I noticed a friend request. I tapped it open. It was the same familiar avatar. Makoto. Why was he adding me? Curious what game he was playing. I accepted. Sure enough, soon after, he posted something on his moments. Caption, the same old taste from the old campus. Photo, a hand holding a skewer of grilled dumplings. The nail art on the hand, I'd recognize it anywhere. It was hers. I chuckled, tossed the phone aside, and went back to my game. For the next few days while Willow didn't come back, Makoto kept posting photos on his moments. Willow was in every one of them. There weren't any flirty captions, but the vibe felt like they were a newlywed couple. Weirdly sweet. I didn't care. I packed up all my stuff and shipped it out, ready to leave at a moment's notice. Kevin offered to pick me up, but I turned him down. While browsing tickets online, a friend spammed me with a bunch of videos. They were taken at some club, chaotic scene, people everywhere, and I thought I saw a glimpse of Willow. The audio was a mess. Couldn't hear anything clearly. I was about to close it, thinking none of this had anything to do with me anymore, when my phone rang. I picked up, and my friend jumped straight in. "George, did you see the video just now? That girl, wasn't that your girlfriend? Looks like her." "Why?" Once he got confirmation, his voice jumped an octave. "Then you'd better get over here fast, she's in a fight." My expression immediately darkened. I hesitated, then grabbed my keys and headed for the address he sent. As soon as I got out of the car, my friend rushed over to explain. Turns out, he was out with some buddies when a guy named Makoto bragged about how hot his girl was, and that she was a model. These guys apparently knew some big shot named Ito, and they didn't believe him, so they insisted he bring her over for drinks. When the girl arrived, my friend thought she looked familiar, like my girlfriend, but he didn't dare say anything. I mean, no way someone else's girl could be brought out like that by another guy, right? He figured he must have been mistaken. But just a few drinks in, one of the men's wives stormed in with 7 or 8 others. She saw Willow clinking glasses with her husband, and without a word, started throwing punches. Now they were all blocked in the private room. My friend urged me to hurry up and get upstairs. Chapter 8. By the time I got upstairs, the people who had started the fight were already gone. Willow was lying on the sofa, covered in bruises. Makoto had completely vanished. Looking at her like this, as a man, there was no way I could just stand by and do nothing. I picked her up and took her to the hospital. Willow was seriously injured, 2 of her ribs were broken. If she hadn't instinctively protected her face during the fight, her modeling career might have ended right then and there. After paying the hospital fees, I waited outside the operating room. When the doctor finally wheeled Willow out, she was still unconscious. The anesthesia hadn't worn off yet, and she was mumbling a name in her sleep. Even though it was unclear, I could still make it out, Makoto. Knowing the full story, it honestly made me feel sorry for her. The men she was so obsessed with treated her like a disposable toy, and when things went south, he disappeared without a trace. Yet the person by her side now was just her stand-in, me. It wasn't until the afternoon of the next day that Willow finally woke up. The moment she saw me, there was a flicker of disappointment in her eyes, but it quickly softened. "You didn't go home to sleep?" she asked gently. I rubbed my forehead and replied, "I'll go once you're awake." She gave a faint smile. "Thanks, babe." "Last night," I cut her off. "I know everything that happened last night. I didn't tell any of our friends. After all, it's not something good, and the fewer people who know, the better for you." Gratitude flickered in Willow's eyes. "I knew you were the best. Sorry you had to stay up all night for me." I smiled. "It's fine. Anyone else in my place wouldn't have just left you there either. Besides, you're technically my ex-sister-in-law." Willow glared at me with playful annoyance. "We sometimes joked like that." She didn't say anything more. At that moment, nothing seemed appropriate to say. She even felt a bit relieved that we were giving each other the silent treatment when she walked out the door that day. If she had lied and said she was traveling for work, things would be even more awkward now. I saw her glancing at her phone every now and then, clearly distracted. I knew what, or rather, who, she was waiting for, but I didn't say anything. Whatever was going on between her and Makoto, they could sort it out themselves. While Willow stayed in the hospital, I visited her daily. Eventually, the doctor came by for a final checkup and asked for a family member. While filling out the paperwork, he looked up and asked, "Boyfriend?" "She'll need to avoid strenuous activity for now." I quickly replied, "I'm her younger brother." The doctor didn't say anything else, but Willow clearly looked uncomfortable. Younger brother. That's when she remembered, when she was first admitted, I joked about her being my ex-sister-in-law, but thinking back, I wasn't exactly laughing when I said it. As we were leaving the hospital, Willow casually asked, "Why did you say you're my younger brother back there?" I chuckled. "Isn't that what you always call me?" It just slipped out. Unhappy. She pinched my side. "Don't say that again. From now on, just say you're my boyfriend. If you get it wrong again, I won't let you off so easily." "Boyfriend? Huh?" I looked at her. I don't know if she'll have another boyfriend in the future, but one thing's for sure, her next boyfriend won't be me. A week passed, and Willow had fully recovered. Her friends and gal pals had been dying to party, and as soon as she was better, they booked a club to celebrate her comeback. Willow was hesitant at first, but once she heard who was going, she immediately got up and started getting dressed. If someone she wanted to see was going to be there, of course she'd be eager. I had no objections. It's her body, she can do whatever she wants with it. I'd already done more than enough. When we arrived, Makoto wasn't there yet. I overheard Willow whispering to Sophia, asking if Makoto was actually coming. I couldn't help but find it funny. She still thought I didn't know anything. "Fine, Willow, if you want to take me for a fool, go ahead. I can pretend to be clueless, but don't think I actually am. And since that's how you want to play it, Willow, don't blame me for what happens next." Chapter 9. Sure enough, Makoto arrived late, fashionably late, with a gorgeous woman on his arm who, at first glance, clearly had plastic surgery. She was a semi-famous streamer in our city, one of those influencer types. As soon as Makoto walked in, he deliberately sat far from Willow and started chatting up the streamer nonstop. Willow's face turned dark. She kept downing drinks one after another, and not even Sophia could stop her. While Sophia dragged Willow to the restroom, the streamer plopped herself down next to me, wearing a short skirt and black stockings. She had zero sense of boundaries. She casually threw one leg over mine. "You're pretty cute. Can I take you home tonight?" Disgusted, I frowned and pushed her off. I must have hurt her a bit because her expression instantly turned nasty. "What the hell are you acting all high and mighty for? Who do you think you are? You really think you're Willow's man or something? That B*TCH has already been ruined by Makoto, like she'd ever be yours." My brow furrowed. I gripped my glass and said coldly, "Get lost." The streamer let out a giggle. "Ooh, someone's feisty." Then she reached out and started groping me. I flung her arm off hard, so hard that she lost balance and hit her head right on the edge of the table. That was it. I couldn't stay in that place for another damn second. I stood up and walked out of the room, only to hear Makoto calling after me. I paused for a moment but didn't bother responding and kept walking. Then I felt his hand grip my shoulder. "Let go," I warned. I've never had a great temper. If I learned how to tolerate things in recent years, it was only because Willow wore me down. But that scene in the room earlier had already used up every last drop of my patience. And even after my warning, Makoto didn't let go. Instead, he gave a mocking little laugh and said, "What if I don't?" That one sentence lit the fuse. I didn't hesitate anymore. I turned around and punched Makoto square in the face. "Ito, that girl just now, was she your idea?" Makoto wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Surprisingly, he didn't get angry. He shrugged and sneered. "Do you have any proof?" "Proof?" I'd seen it myself, while that woman was all over me. Makoto had been filming it. He grinned like a snake. "Come on, since I came back, has Willow ever let you touch her again? Be honest, she hasn't, right? I mean, we kinda look alike. So I figured, as a favor to my little bro, I'd send a girl your way. And you're still not grateful, or what? Are you too good for my leftovers?" There aren't many men who can take that kind of insult. Just as I raised my hand for another punch, someone grabbed my arm. Then Willow's cold voice cut through the air behind me. "George, what are you doing?" Makoto took a step back, just far enough to stand behind Willow, and gave me a mocking little eyebrow raise. Then he put on his best "I'm the bigger man" voice and gently pulled Willow aside. "It's nothing, just a private matter between me and him. You go back inside." Of course Willow didn't buy it. She demanded, "What private matter? You two barely even know each other." Makoto responded with a look of fake affection and guilt. Then he took a step forward and said in a regretful tone, "Sorry, George. Willow means a lot to me. Even if you beat me to death, I can't keep secrets from her." I was completely thrown off. What the hell kind of act was this guy putting on? Then it clicked. Makoto pulled out his phone and showed Willow a video. It was edited just right, only the part where the streamer was all over me. Willow's expression changed instantly. Fury took over. She raised her hand and slapped me hard across the face. Smack. The sound echoed crisply down the hallway, and everyone nearby turned to look. Chapter 10. I opened my mouth, just about to explain, when Willow's next words completely shut me down. "Oh, so now you've got skills. Huh. I really didn't expect this from you. After 4 years together, I never thought you'd make me feel so disgusted with everything you did today." I laughed. At this point, I didn't even want to say a single word in defense. The private room was just next door. Everything that happened between me and that streamer caused enough of a commotion. Anyone in the room would have seen it. If Willow had just asked anyone inside, she would have found out the truth in seconds. But she didn't want to. She just blindly believed Makoto. I turned to leave, but Willow stepped in front of me. "You hit him just now, didn't you? Apologize." I looked over at Makoto. There was still blood at the corner of his mouth. No wonder he hadn't wiped it. He was saving it for this dramatic little show. "Apologize? Not a chance." My chest tightened with frustration, but I said firmly, "Apologize without even knowing the truth. Willow, have you just gotten used to walking all over me?" Willow wanted to argue more, but Makoto stepped in and gently pulled her back. "Forget it, Willow. I'm fine. I never got to apologize for last time, and I didn't even visit you after you got discharged. I brought you a gift. Come, I'll show you." Only then did Willow let it go and follow Makoto back inside. I let out a cold laugh. That moment, I felt truly hurt, and yet, I also realized I had no feelings left for Willow. She'd been unbelievably stupid these past few days. Did it never occur to her that if someone genuinely cared about you, they'd walk through hell just to be by your side? I turned and walked away, suddenly feeling deeply, painfully sad. Maybe that's what happened when my older brother broke up with Willow too. Worn down, disappointed again and again. Maybe this was for the best. When I got home, I immediately started preparing to leave. Unfortunately, it was peak travel season, and tickets were hard to get. I kept refreshing the page. Then, suddenly, I felt a sharp pain in my stomach. It was a cramping, twisting pain that made it hard to even stand. I've always had a bad stomach. I used to get attacks like this often, but they'd usually go away with some strong painkillers. I fumbled around for my medicine and took a dose, but instantly felt nauseous. A mouthful of blood came up, mixed with the pills I'd just swallowed. The moment I saw the blood, a worse wave of pain hit me, along with dizziness so intense the whole world tilted. Barely clinging to consciousness, I managed to call for an ambulance and unlock the door. By the time I got to the hospital and emergency care was done, I woke up, but the pain left me in a haze. After the tests, the doctor said I needed surgery immediately and asked me to notify my family. Barely conscious, I called Willow. Once, she hung up. Twice, hung up again. 10 times. Finally, on the 10th call, she answered, but her voice was ice cold. Call me again and I'll block you. You did this to yourself, figure it out on your own. Then she hung up. I tried calling again. Blocked. The nurse had no choice but to ask if I had any other family. I had no one else, so I called David to come act as my emergency contact. Turns out, I had a tumor in my stomach, poorly differentiated. It ruptured, that's what caused the internal bleeding. Thankfully, they removed it in time. It was David who told Willow about my condition. But not only did she not believe it, she even mocked me, said I was a grown man and should stop playing sick little boy games. Unless I admitted fault, she wouldn't see me. Sure enough, during my entire hospital stay, Willow never called, didn't show up once. Only the caregiver and David stopped by now and then with rice porridge and conversation. And just like that, 2 more weeks passed. Honestly, it was better that way. Some people are better left unseen. That's the best kind of goodbye. I blocked Willow and deleted everything connected to her. Even the matching couple phone case, we used the same one, I tossed in the trash. I replaced the screen too. And then, on the day I was discharged, Willow finally showed up. Chapter 11. But the reason Willow showed up wasn't to see me. Makoto had something come up last minute, so he asked Willow to pick up his medical report from the hospital. I had just finished my discharge paperwork when we ran into each other at the elevator. I didn't say a word. I turned and got into a different elevator and went down. Willow stood frozen at the elevator entrance for a long while. She thought she'd just seen me. For a split second, she started to wonder if what David told her had actually been true. But then she shook it off. How could that be possible? If I had really been sick like he said, my parents would have shown up. There would have been a huge fuss, and she definitely would have heard about it. Not complete silence. When I got home, I immediately booked a same-day flight. There was no direct one, so I took a longer route with a layover. I didn't care, as long as I could get away from this place as soon as possible. Then, I threw away everything related to Willow. Everything. Even the bedsheets and duvet covers. Even the perfume she once said she liked. I didn't want anything to remind me of her. I was about to leave when Willow came back. We locked eyes. Willow looked me over and noticed I seemed fine, which instantly confirmed her doubts. She sneered. I don't know who you think you're fooling. You call that being sick? I said nothing. Opened the door, ready to leave. Willow got angry. George, if you walk out that door today, don't come back. I smiled and replied, yeah, I won't. Then I stepped out, closed the door, walked down the stairs. Not a trace of hesitation. I got to the street, didn't call a cab. I took the bus to the airport. Not for any reason other than, I just wanted to take one last look at the city I'd lived in for 4 years. Every tree, every building. It all felt familiar and distant at the same time. Sunlight poured lazily through the bus window. I put in my earphones, played some soft music, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I felt free. Because of the layover, I didn't arrive in City A until nighttime. Kevin came to pick me up. The moment I got in the car, he noticed something was off. Damn, you look pale. Didn't sleep? I'm fine. Haven't rested well these past few days. Kevin gave a simple then asked. Everything settled over in City C? Yeah, I replied simply. There was a pause. Then Kevin said, I meant your relationship situation. I let out a small laugh. All sorted. Good. Mom knew you were coming back today. She even gave your aunt the day off and made all your favorite dishes. Reheated them twice already. Who knew you'd get back this late? I didn't respond. There was a moment of silence. Then I suddenly asked, Bro, why did you break up with Willow back then? Kevin stiffened. The atmosphere turned heavy again. He hadn't expected me to suddenly bring up something from so long ago. But thinking about it, he figured, I'd probably just broken up with her too. Maybe I needed some shared experience to help process it. So he answered, it wasn't anything dramatic. Our personalities didn't match. Later I found out she'd been messaging some other guy the whole time. And I realized, what's the point? We're all free people, so I let it go. I knew that guy was probably Makoto, but the personality mismatch excuse felt weak. I asked, back then, how did you move on? I remember you really liked her. Hearing that, Kevin suddenly realized something. He slammed on the brakes and pulled the car over. He stared at me seriously. Something's not right. We've been broken up for almost 5 years now. Why are you so hung up on her? Wait, don't tell me you two were actually. Chapter 12. Kevin's question caught me off guard. I tried to keep my expression steady on the surface. In my mind, I had already decided, since things were over with Willow, I would just pretend I'd never known her. We'd part ways completely. No more entanglements, different paths, different lives. I didn't expect Kevin to ask something like that out of nowhere. Were you two actually? He trailed off. I forced myself to stay calm and asked back. Actually what? Kevin narrowed his eyes. Be honest, did you see her again in City C? When I heard that, I secretly let out a breath of relief. I shook my head quickly and repeatedly. Kevin finally relaxed. Phew, that's good then. Let me tell you the truth. The reason Willow and I broke up back then, it was because of a guy named Makoto. I think she thought we looked a bit alike or something. He lit a cigarette as he talked. I found out, confronted her, and she admitted it without much hesitation. So we broke up. Sure, I liked her at the time, but looking back now, feeling that upset over her was pretty dumb. I smiled. Kevin flicked my forehead. You little brat. Laughing at me? I shook my head. I wasn't laughing at Kevin. I just thought, it's crazy how both of us brothers got tripped up by the same woman. And all because of the same man. Born of the same mother indeed. When we got home, my mom immediately smacked me on the back of the head. You brat. You finally decided to come home. You have no idea how worried your dad and I have been. As she said it, she raised her hand again like she was going to hit me. I ducked and ran around the living room, dodging. My dad sat on the couch with a smile, calmly pouring tea, watching the chaos. He finally chuckled and said, all right, enough. And who was it just now, pacing around the house, asking if we should make another dish because her precious son was coming home and might not have enough to eat? The whole family burst out laughing. Looking at them, warm, cheerful, bickering, I couldn't help but laugh too. So this is what it feels like. This is what heals all wounds. The fog that had been clouding my chest vanished in the laughter and the smell of hot food. After a few days at home, I started to get restless again. Kevin suggested we go out for a change of scenery and maybe meet some friends. The car pulled up to an old historical block that was particularly lively today. There was some kind of event going on. Crowds of people had gathered in the center to watch. Kevin explained that professors from the South University's Fine Arts Department had brought their students to do outdoor sketching today. I'd heard of South U before. Their art school is one of the best in the country. When I was little, I loved drawing, but life got in the way, and it became nothing more than a hobby. Kevin pulled me through the crowd until we were at the very front, and the first thing I saw was a girl in white, sitting in the center of it all. She gave off this calm, serene aura, just sitting there. She looked like a peaceful painting. Some people don't have to be extraordinarily beautiful. You just look at them once, and you feel at ease. Willow was like that once, and so was this girl, but the feeling they gave was completely different. One was the fantasy you never wake up from. The other was the quiet scar on your heart. Kevin noticed I was staring and nudged me with a grin. What are you looking at? Totally zoned out. I snapped out of it and shook my head. Kevin, being Kevin, didn't let it go. He grabbed my arm and walked me right up to the girl, raising his voice with a playful smile. Professor Sue, my little brother's a big admirer of your work. Would you do a portrait for him? Chapter 13. I swear, I never realized my big brother was such a social butterfly. I forced a polite smile through the awkwardness, but Kevin had already pushed me down onto the chair. Sit still, don't move, he said, patting my shoulder. Hi, I'm Anna Sue. The girl, whom Kevin had introduced as Professor Sue, smiled warmly as she greeted me and began sketching. I nodded, feeling a little embarrassed. Being used as a live model while surrounded by this many people. This was definitely a first for me. If it weren't for the fact that I didn't want to embarrass Kevin, I'd have bolted long ago. Honestly, how did two brothers from the same mom turn out so different, one with skin thick as armor, the other cringing from a sketch session? While Anna drew, she also snuck glances at me from time to time. Kevin, meanwhile, stood behind me in the crowd, grinning like a proud peony in full bloom. Just as I was about to crumble from the awkward tension and stand up, Anna beat me to it. She handed me the sketch and asked gently, "So, what do you think? Do you like it?" It was a simple sketch, just a few clean lines, but in those strokes, she captured my awkwardness and flustered expression so vividly, it almost made me laugh. "You're really good," I couldn't help but say, and that's when I noticed, Kevin had crept up behind me again. He slapped a hand on my shoulder with a knowing grin and turned to Anna. "So, Anna, My brother might be a little clueless, but not too bad to look at, right? I froze. What do you mean? You two know each other? Anna still wore that gentle smile, and a faint blush had crept onto her cheeks. Kevin looked very pleased with how things were playing out. A man being awkward around a woman the first time they meet. That's the perfect sign of someone with little romantic experience. Just as he'd hoped, he cleared his throat dramatically and gave a formal reintroduction. This is the girl I told you about. You know, the daughter of Dad's old army buddy. Ring any bells? I racked my brain for that clue, and finally realized. Wait, this is the one I'm supposed to marry someday. Damn, Kevin had just dragged me into a blind date. My ears instantly turned red. I mean, I'd already expected there'd be a blind date at some point. Coming home kind of made that inevitable, but I definitely didn't expect this kind of setup. I thought blind dates meant sitting stiffly in a cafe, exchanging basic info like an interview. Not this. Not being sketch-bombed in public and then ambushed with introductions. Seeing the timing was right, Kevin clapped his hands. Well, that's my mission from Mom complete. I've got work, gotta run. He left without a second thought. I cursed him silently the entire time. What kind of brother dumps you alone with a stranger and just bounces? I turned to look at Anna, only to find she was already looking at me. Her eyes sparkled. There was a kind of brightness and warmth in them, like sunshine on a cold winter day. We both started at the same time. You, again. We spoke in unison, and then both of us laughed. Anna left her students to sketch on their own and took me for a little walk around the area. As the sky grew darker, I suggested we grab a bite to eat. She agreed. At the restaurant, after ordering, the waiter asked if we had any food allergies or things we didn't eat. Anna replied, "No cilantro, please." I smiled and asked, "You don't eat cilantro either, Miss Sue?" Anna shook her head gently. "I don't mind it, but I remember your cousin said you don't like it." I didn't get that wrong, did I? I was genuinely stunned. She passed on cilantro, not for herself, but for me. And to think, I was with Willow for 4 years. She never once knew what I liked or disliked. Yet here was someone I'd just met, and she remembered something so small. Chapter 14. Seeing me fall into silence, Anna asked, "Did I remember it wrong?" "Sorry if I did." "No, you remembered it right." I shook my head. Then, while we ate, the two of us started chatting. It wasn't the kind of cliched back and forth small talk I expected. Instead, we talked about Monet's water lilies, Van Gogh's Starry Night, the misty rains of southern cities, and the scorching heat of the northern ones. From places near and far, from scenery to customs, we drifted through the conversation effortlessly. That night, on the way home, I felt an unexplainable sense of ease. Ever since I started dating Willow, no one had talked with me like this. Willow always said she didn't understand, or wasn't interested. She preferred chatting about Hermes, Balenciaga, that kind of thing. As expected, people don't always share the same joys and sorrows. After getting home, I suddenly remembered Kevin once said that the blind date, whom I hadn't even met at the time, had sent me a gift. I asked my mom for it. The packaging was exquisite. You could tell it had been wrapped with care and attention. I slowly unwrapped it, and inside was a painting and a letter. The painting was of a sunflower field under a perfectly blue sky. There were no embellishments, just a quiet transition between light and shadow. The signature read Anna, along with the title of the painting, Life Like Summer Flowers. I didn't even realize that I'd been smiling the whole time I was looking at the painting. I found a good spot to hang it, then leaned against my bed and opened the letter. "Hello Mr. Wong. Meeting you through this letter. It's been a while. I'm kind of looking forward to it, and also imagining what kind of guy you are now. I heard a bit from Brother Chong. He said you also like painting. I'm giving you this painting in hopes that you live like summer flowers in the blazing sun, radiant and always in full bloom. Sincerely, Anna." The girl's graceful handwriting was gentle just to look at. Every word was filled with sincerity and care. But, what did she mean by, "It's been a while"? Had we met before? That didn't seem possible. I searched through all my memories but couldn't find a face that matched Anna's. I gave up on that thought. I read the letter again and wondered, if we hadn't met today, and I saw this first, how would I imagine Anna? After thinking it through, I realized she'd probably be just like she is in person. Right then, a message from Anna arrived. "I just got home. You?" "Yeah, been home a little while. I'm looking at your painting now." I hesitated for a long time, typing and deleting and typing, before I finally asked, "Did my brother tell you I like sunflowers?" The typing bubble on her end bounced for a while. "No, I just like them." "You don't like them? I can paint you a new one if you don't." "No, I really like it. Thank you, Miss Sue." Even I thought that thank you sounded a bit too formal, too stiff, like I was getting old or something. I was about to say something to smooth it over when another message came in. "No need to be so formal. Just call me Anna, like Brother Chong does." And just like that, we started chatting. One message after another. I don't even know when I fell asleep. In my dream, I was standing in that sunflower field, with blue skies and golden sunlight overhead, so different from the gloomy, rainy oppression of City C. The rainy season in City C wasn't over yet. A few days ago, Makoto got into a car accident. Not serious, just a fractured arm. When he was discharged, Willow brought him home. Makoto asked her to have dinner with him. Willow said she wasn't hungry. She had a photo shoot coming up and needed to watch her diet. After she left, it wasn't long before someone knocked on Makoto's door. When he opened it, a figure threw herself on him. It was that small-time live streamer. Makoto peeled her off and sat down on the couch to smoke. You can't even do a simple job right. The live streamer pouted and said sweetly, Makoto, I did exactly what you told me, max dosage. Guess the guy's just lucky. Makoto stubbed out his cigarette. Yeah, lucky. Otherwise, even if he didn't die, it would have messed him up real good. By the way, I saw Willow leave downstairs just now. She's simping for you so hard. Why didn't she stay? Probably went to find that kid. Doesn't matter. I've still got you, haven't I? Besides, whenever I really need her, I just snap my fingers and she'll come crawling back. Outside the door, Willow's hand froze midair. She had just been about to knock. Chapter 15. Makoto naturally pulled the streamer girl into his arms. She continued to act coy. That George guy really doesn't know how to appreciate people. He even hurt me when he pushed me away that day. Heh, whatever. Honestly, if Willow had just asked one more question when she walked into the booth, the whole setup would have fallen apart. Outside the door, Willow heard every word loud and clear. She recognized each word on its own, but together, they crashed into her heart like a thunderclap. She'd only come back to grab a necklace she left in Makoto's bag after a shoot. She never expected to overhear any of this. Back home, she started replaying the events of that day in her mind. Then, she called each person who was at the scene, one by one, asking what had happened while she was in the restroom. Everyone described pretty much the same thing. Makoto had told the streamer to sit next to George, and then she started touching him. George pushed her off, but she kept trying to get close again. Meanwhile, Makoto stood there filming with his phone. When she got to the last person, they hesitated for a long time before finally saying they thought they saw the streamer slip something into George's drink, but they weren't sure. It dissolved too quickly. They thought maybe they'd imagined it. As Willow listened to all this, her face grew darker and darker. Then she remembered that George had said his stomach hurt that night. She immediately began rummaging through the trash. She hadn't been back to this apartment in a while. The day George left, she came home briefly to pack for a job out of town. Then Makoto had his accident. This was the first time she'd returned home since George left. After searching for a long time, she finally found it, in the trash bin tucked in the corner of the living room, blood-stained tissues. Willow suddenly felt ice cold. She remembered that George hadn't sent her a single message since that day. She had blocked him, and never unblocked him. Now, in a panic, she restored all the blocked accounts and tried calling George. The phone rang. Then a message, "You are not in the recipient's contact list." She tried several accounts, only to realize George had blocked her on all of them. Willow felt like her heart had been crushed. How could this be? George had never blocked her before. It was always her who got mad at him. And every time she did, he would always come coax her, make her feel special, like she was the center of his world. But now, everything felt different. Suddenly, Willow thought of something and stood up, rushing to the closet. George's suitcase, gone. His clothes, gone. Every one of his belongings, even the smallest, most insignificant ones, gone. There was nothing in this apartment that showed he had ever been here. It was as if he had never existed at all. But where could he have gone? George came from a good family. His father was in the military, his mother a university professor who had just retired. He was never the type to burden others, so he wouldn't crash at a friend's place. The only person he might turn to was David. Willow dialed David's number. It was already late. He answered with a yawn. "Willow Gia, what's up? Where's George? Is he with you?" Hearing her tone, David's sleepiness faded. "He went back home." "Didn't you guys break up?" "Break up? Since when?" No one told her. "Willow Gia, no offense, but last time, you were in the wrong. Guys need comfort too, you know. And George was in bad shape. You accused us of faking it all." Willow didn't hear a single word after that. She opened an app on her phone. It was a couples app, the kind meant for lovers to share photos, messages, and special memories. She had forced George to use it with her on a whim, though she got bored after 2 days. George, however, used to upload little moments to it. Now, everything had been deleted. Only one sentence remained. "Willow, let's break up." Chapter 16. Kevin stared at the caller ID, completely stunned. He never expected that, after 5 years and having long moved on, his ex-girlfriend would suddenly call him out of the blue. He answered the call half doubtful, and Willow's slightly anxious voice came through. What are you doing right now? Kevin had been watching TV with me and our parents. He quickly got up and stepped out onto the balcony. Me, just watching TV. Why'd you suddenly call me? So much time had passed, Kevin had already let go of everything from back then. He held no grudge against Willow, but he didn't exactly feel close to her either. After all, that relationship was from when they were young and didn't last long. Willow paused. I wanted to ask, is your brother home? My brother. Kevin turned and gave me a baffled look. I happened to see his expression and immediately figured out who was calling. If Willow really wanted to reach me, she would have gone through Kevin. He's home. Why? Kevin asked. When did you and my brother? Can you let him answer the phone? That caught Kevin completely off guard. He was about to ask more when there was a knock at the door. I opened it and saw Anna standing there, dressed in a forest green knit sweater, looking like a graceful little deer. As soon as she stepped in, Anna greeted my parents warmly. They were visibly pleased with their future daughter-in-law. Sorry, Kevin said into the phone. We've got guests at home, so he's a bit busy. If it's urgent, you can tell me. Hearing that, Willow suddenly felt she might have overstepped by calling. She quickly shifted her tone. It's been a while. How have you been lately? Kevin smiled. Not bad. I heard you're working in the entertainment industry now. Willow replied. You heard about me. From where? Sophia. Of course, we've kept in touch over the years. Honestly, we were just kids back then, not mature. We dated, but it's all water under the bridge. Willow forced a smile. Yeah, I think so too. Maybe we would have been better off just staying friends. Well, it's not too late now. Kevin chuckled. Great. I'm actually heading to a city in a couple of days for a shoot. Let's grab a meal while I'm there. Bring your brother along. Kevin agreed. Actually, we've got a family celebration coming up. Luis and Diego will be here too. You should come. It'll be fun. Bring Sophia along. Celebration. Willow was still trying to piece things together when Kevin quickly added, my mom's calling. Talk soon. Then he hung up. She sat on the bed, thinking it through. Luis and Diego had been Kevin's closest friends back in the day. They used to hang out together all the time. So this celebration, could it be a wedding? Kevin's wedding. That seemed like the only possibility. It certainly wasn't some elder's birthday banquet. In that case, it made sense George was busy. He was the groom's younger brother. Willow hadn't lied. The shoot really was scheduled for a city. 3 days of filming. Plus she decided to use up the rest of her annual leave. Though she and Kevin had both moved on, she still carried a little guilt over how things ended. And now that Kevin had said they could still be friends, she felt she had to attend the wedding. Knowing where George was, and thinking they might see each other soon, eased her mind a little. Just as she was drifting off after taking a sleeping pill, her phone rang. It was Makoto. She frowned, remembering what he had said to the streamer girl the other day. She immediately rejected the call. Moments later, Makoto sent her a question mark via app message. Willow casually replied with a random excuse about a night shoot, then lay back down, but her sleep was completely ruined. Sitting up again, Willow grabbed her phone and dialed Sophia. There were some truths she needed to get to the bottom of, tonight. Chapter 17. Sophia was at a bar. It was loud, and she had to shout over the noise to talk to Willow on the phone. Willow asked her if she still had the contact info for that good friend of Makoto's, the one she met after their breakup. Sophia was a born social butterfly. As soon as she hung up, she sent the guy's contact over. He was clearly surprised when Willow added him. When he learned she was also in City C, she got straight to the point and asked if he'd be free to have dinner over the weekend. He responded with a sigh, saying if he'd known she was in City C, he would have contacted her a long time ago. Even through the text, Willow could feel the sarcasm in his tone. Makoto, what kind of person is he really? Willow gave a self-deprecating laugh. It seemed like from the very beginning, she never truly knew him. His gentlemanly manners, his politeness, his refinement, and that composed demeanor, were they all just an act? She didn't dare to imagine it. Meanwhile, I had been busy the past few days with wedding preparations, accompanying Anna to shop for home decor, picking out soft furnishings. Sometimes, we'd go to art exhibitions or see a movie together. Doing these things felt like I was living in a dream. In past dreams, everything I thought and felt didn't seem to matter to the person I was with. But now, things were different. I was beginning a new dream, a new story, with someone new. And this time, the heroine was Anna. I didn't know what the future would bring, or what marriage was truly supposed to look like. But what I did know was that Anna had given me something I had never received before: sincerity and respect. In Anna, I saw the version of myself I had been for the past 4 years, and I was deeply grateful I had made this decision. Because of this choice, I met someone whose eyes reflected only me. She remembered the things I liked, the food I loved. She respected my preferences and choices. Even for the things outside of her world, she'd try them, just because of me. For the first time, I understood what it truly meant to be loved. Kevin would occasionally get roped in to help out, though truthfully, He didn't do much, he mostly just stood around teasing me. Surprisingly, I didn't find it annoying for once. When Anna was trying on her wedding dress, he smiled and said approvingly, "With a girl like this, you should have introduced her to me 4 years ago." I rolled my eyes. Kevin scoffed. "Don't pin that on me. You two already met back then. You just weren't paying attention." What could I have done? Already met? I had no recollection of that at all. Kevin jogged my memory, and it finally came back to me. Freshman year, there was a younger girl who used to tag along when Kevin hung out. He said she was the daughter of one of our dad's army buddies. But back then, I was all over the place, playing basketball, traveling, hiking. I didn't remember her at all. Kevin added that she'd grown up into a well-known art professor at South University, with plenty of admirers lining up to chase her. My mom had always liked that girl and once suggested pairing her with Kevin, but the girl had blushed and shyly asked whether I had a girlfriend. That's when my mom realized the girl didn't have feelings for the older brother. She had her eye on the younger one, which was fine, keep it in the family. But back then, I was still dating that girl from City C, and I refused to come home no matter what. So the girl waited all the way until now, and finally, this was the result. I froze. Anna knew I had a girlfriend, and she still waited 2 years. 2 years may not seem long, but in a young woman's life, it's no short time. Just then, Kevin suddenly changed the subject. "Oh right, Willow called me a few days ago looking for you. What was that about?" I frowned slightly. "Nothing really. Just something from City C. I'll tell you after the wedding when there's time." Kevin nodded. To him, whether his dumb little brother knew Willow or not didn't matter anymore. He was getting married, after all. "Oh right," he added. "She said she's got a shoot coming up in a city. I invited her to join the celebration. People say happy occasions bring good luck." As soon as those words left his mouth, the smile on my face instantly froze. Chapter 18. "You told her I'm getting married?" I asked. Kevin noticed the shift in my expression and gave me a suspicious look. "What's wrong?" I didn't say it. "Did something happen between you two?" Kevin ran through 100 different possibilities in his head, but it never once crossed his mind that Willow was the girlfriend I had been with for 4 years, the one I had never brought home. He had even suspected before that I was just making up a relationship to dodge the family's matchmaking. Since he hadn't told her, I let it go and didn't press further. Before heading to a city for the shoot, Willow met up with Martin, Makoto's old buddy, at a restaurant. "Miss Lou's quite the busy celebrity now," Martin teased. Willow had no patience for jokes. Why did Makoto suddenly go abroad back then? Martin hadn't expected her to dive straight in like that. He froze for a second. After a moment of silence, he finally said, "Honestly, about Makoto, he really wasn't a decent guy back then." Martin explained that Makoto didn't go abroad because of any prestigious recommendation. The whole straight-A student image, completely fake. Back when the Ito family hadn't gone bankrupt yet, Makoto had access to exam answers through backdoor channels every time. The school could be fooled, but not the national college entrance exams. With no way to pull strings for that, the family sent him overseas just before the big exam. And that was just part of it. A bigger reason. Back when he was dating Willow, Makoto wasn't just seeing her. Coincidentally, during that time, another girl got pregnant. The Ito family paid her off. To avoid any fallout, they had no choice but to ship their son abroad. Even after going overseas, the guy didn't stop. He ran through women like changing clothes and caused all kinds of trouble. Meanwhile, the Ito family was already spiraling downward. Overwhelmed by crisis, Makoto began borrowing money everywhere. Calling it borrowing was generous, scamming was more accurate. He conned almost all of his close friends, including Martin and the others. Then he vanished without a trace. No one knows where he is now. Willow was stunned speechless. Only now, after all this time, did she learn the truth about the past. She couldn't believe the men she once cherished so deeply turned out to be this kind of person. It was laughable. Walking out of the restaurant, Willow raised her hand and gave herself a hard slap. She had fooled so many people for a piece of trash like that, especially me. She suddenly felt like she might never again meet a man who loved her with his whole heart. Later, Willow called up Sophia and cornered the little streamer girl inside the company's live stream room. The company was run by one of their close friends. Once they heard Willow meant business, they cleared the place out. That streamer girl didn't dare cross Willow. This woman's presence alone radiated like she was 6 feet tall. Sophia didn't waste words. She walked right up and gave the girl 2 hard slaps across the face. Then she pulled out her phone and started recording. The streamer girl knew exactly who she was dealing with, and more importantly, she knew she was nothing but a temporary plaything to Makoto. She was very clear about where she stood, so she confessed, word for word, the entire plan Makoto had orchestrated, how he told her to drug George that night. The more Willow listened, the colder her heart became. After giving the girl a final, fierce warning, Willow collapsed onto the couch in exhaustion. "Sophia, familiar with Willow's temperament, stayed quiet. No one spoke for a long while. Finally, Willow broke the silence. Her voice low, "Did you record all of it?" "Yeah." "What are you planning to do? Isn't Makoto still trying to propose to you?" Willow let out a cold laugh. "Well, if he wants to marry me so badly, of course I'll make sure he gets exactly what he wants." Chapter 19. The nightscape of a city was completely different from City C. This season, it carried the misty charm of a southern water town. Anna held onto my arm as we walked down the boulevard. Crowds of people bustled around us, kids running back and forth, couples playing and laughing. The whole scene was filled with the warmth and liveliness of everyday life. I thought to myself, maybe this is what true happiness looks like in this world. As we approached a store entrance, Anna told me to wait outside and darted in by herself. When she came out, she was holding a soft, fuzzy heating pad. I asked curiously, "Why'd you buy that?" Anna replied, "That time we were eating out, you frowned after drinking cold water. I figured you probably get stomachaches a lot. This helps at night, just place it on your stomach. It'll feel better." I smiled. Anna asked me what I was smiling about, but before I could answer, a group of cheerful voices called out from the side, "Hi, Miss Sue." We both turned around and saw a few college-aged students carrying sketchboards, waving at Anna. One of the girls glanced at me and gasped in surprise. "Whoa, Miss Sue, is this your boyfriend? He's so handsome." Anna clung tightly to my arm with a face full of joy. "Not my boyfriend, my fiancé," she answered with a bright smile. "For real? When's the wedding?" "Yeah, can we go to Miss Sue's wedding too?" "Ugh, when will I ever get a boyfriend that hot?" Anna playfully glared at the girl, then gently ruffled her hair. "You all focus on your studies first, then bring me someone even more handsome than him to show off." Her words made the boys nearby laugh and joke. One of them chimed in, "Now that Miss Sue's getting married, it feels like I just got dumped." Sigh. As soon as he said that, everyone burst into laughter. I stood silently beside Anna, smiling the whole time, just soaking in the atmosphere. It was really nice. People always come together in the warmth of company, and eventually, they part ways in the same kind of bustle. Over on Willow's side, things were lively, too. Makoto was about to propose to her. That evening, almost all of Willow's friends were present. Makoto had the event planned out to perfection, formal, but not stiff. Everyone knew what kind of occasion it was. They were all waiting to witness the moment. Makoto stood center stage in a well-fitted suit, waiting for Willow to arrive. Guests whispered among themselves, "Looks like Willow's finally getting her happy ending." "Huh, I heard she dated a bunch of guys who looked just like Makoto." "Yeah, rumor has it that the last two were even brothers." "No way, but honestly, with a face like Willow's, if I were a guy, I wouldn't mind being a stand-in either." Makoto caught all these whispers, and a small smirk played on his lips. In the end, all those men were just toys she found to fill the gap. He was the only one who truly mattered. All these years, her heart had always been with him. That alone proved his irresistible charm. The music began. The lights were perfectly adjusted. Makoto was already imagining Willow walking in, dressed in white like a bride. Everything was going just as he had envisioned. The banquet hall doors opened. Willow entered, accompanied by Sophia. She wore a black evening gown, elegant, sensual, like a swan, not white. Didn't matter. Makoto wouldn't fuss over details. Willow walked straight toward him as the crowd erupted into cheers and teasing shouts. With affection in his eyes, Makoto dropped to one knee and looked up at Willow. "Will you marry me?" Willow looked at him with a smile on her face. She smiled. "I will." The moment the words left her mouth, the entire room went wild with celebration. Chapter 20. "I will." The words rolled smoothly off Willow's tongue, so natural, like the perfect ending to a fairy tale, spoken in front of an audience there to witness love. Makoto gazed at her with deep affection, slowly taking her right hand. Just as he was about to slip the engagement ring onto her finger, Willow pulled her hand back and stepped away. Then she raised her voice and said something that left Makoto, and everyone else, utterly stunned. "I will, yeah right." The music came to a halt. The guests fell silent. Everyone could tell, something was very wrong. Makoto stared at Willow in disbelief, his eyes searching hers for answers, but Willow just covered her mouth and laughed. A charming, sultry laugh. "Willow, stop fooling around. Today is our engagement. I invited all your friends from the industry to witness this special moment," Makoto said, reaching out once more for her hand. But Willow stepped back again, her smile vanishing, replaced by her signature cool and distant expression. The entire room held its breath. Things clearly weren't going according to plan. Makoto finally sensed something was off. His face darkened. Gone was the gentle, refined mask. "Willow, what the hell is this supposed to mean?" Willow glanced at the seated guests around her, then smirked slightly. "Oh, nothing," she said casually. "You mentioned you invited all my friends. I'm touched." "Really? But what about your friends?" Don't you want them to witness your happiness too? Makoto's eyes flickered, a flash of panic breaking through his composure. He forced a tight smile. Willow, you know I just got back. I don't really have many friends here. So, before he could finish, Willow cut in. That's fine. No new friends, but what about the old ones? Her words made a chill crawl up Makoto's spine. The music had long stopped. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Makoto took a deep breath and frowned. Willow, do you want to marry me or not? You've waited years. Why throw a tantrum now of all times? Willow shook her head slowly, clicking her tongue. Whether I want to marry you isn't the point. The real question is, how many others out there want to marry you? As she finished, she turned to look at Sophia. Sophia understood immediately and strode toward the banquet hall doors. In one swift motion, she pulled them open. A dozen people, men and women alike, stepped inside. One of them was even holding a child. When Makoto saw who they were, the panic and fury on his face could no longer be masked. Willow, are you seriously screwing me over right now? He charged toward Willow, hand raised as if to strike, but Martin stepped in, blocking him immediately. Mr. Ito, finally we found you. We let it slide when you ran off with our money back then. But now, isn't it about time you paid us back? As Martin confronted him, the others, also there to collect debts, joined in, their voices rising. Pay your debt. Yeah, pay up. We trusted you, and this is the kind of person you are. Just then, a woman stepped out from the crowd, holding the hand of a small boy. Her eyes were full of hatred as she stared directly at Makoto. Makoto, don't you remember me? Makoto looked puzzled at first, but when he saw the mole at the corner of her mouth, he visibly recoiled, almost stumbling back 2 steps. You're the one from back then. That's right, it's me. Surprised. I kept the child, huh? The room erupted into chaos. Clusters of guests whispered among themselves. No way. Makoto always looked so refined, but he's actually a total scumbag. Yeah, and a liar, too. Willow's so lucky she didn't marry someone like that. Her life would have been ruined. Makoto heard the whispers, and he snapped. He straightened his suit, then forced a half-smile as he looked at the woman and the child. I don't know how much someone paid you to come here and slander me publicly. Sure, we were young. We made some mistakes. I can apologize for that. Then his tone turned cold. But dragging in some random brat and claiming it's mine just to destroy my name, I could sue you for defamation. Random brat. Willow raised an eyebrow and held out her hand. Sophia stepped forward and placed a folder in her palm. Willow grabbed it and threw it straight at Makoto's face. Open your damn eyes and take a good look at this paternity test. Makoto picked it up from the floor. After glancing through it, his expression turned even darker. Without thinking, he tore the report into shreds. Maybe, deep down, he believed that as long as the paper was gone, the past couldn't touch him. Willow let out a cold laugh. Rip it all you want. I can print as many copies as you need. Makoto's face contorted in fury and disbelief. He looked at Willow, eyes burning. Willow, what the hell did I ever do to you? Why are you doing this to me? Willow smiled. She gently pushed Martin aside and locked her icy gaze onto Makoto. Step by step, she walked straight toward him. Chapter 21. Why am I doing this to you? Are you really that clueless about what kind of garbage person you are? With acting skills like that, you might as well go win an Oscar. You ruin women, scam people, and even encouraged someone to drug George. What the hell did he ever do to you? By this point, Makoto was completely unraveling. He gritted his teeth and lunged forward, hands wrapping around Willow's neck. If she wasn't going to let him live in peace, then no one would. The tension in the room skyrocketed, sharp and suffocating, but Willow didn't struggle. She just stared at him with a cold, mocking smile still lingering in her eyes. Suddenly, the doors burst open. 2 police officers rushed in and tackled Makoto to the floor. Makoto Ito, you are under arrest for fraud, incitement to commit a crime, and your involvement in an unresolved sexual assault case from years ago. You'll be taken into custody in accordance with the law. Makoto, looking completely pathetic and feral, was dragged out like a beaten dog. Willow slowly exhaled. She had finally brought justice to the mistake she once made. Fairy tales always seem to freeze at that moment when the prince and princess walk into the chapel. Just like today, this story had a perfect beginning. Yet the ending was so absurd. Some people are meant to find happiness, yet fall into tragedy. Others seem doomed to misfortune, but end up living a life everyone envies. Willow never got another call from me. Even if she tried to call again, she found herself still blocked, agitated, distracted. She started making mistakes at work. Her manager wasn't happy with her recent performance. Even Sophia was worried about her. What's the use of sulking here by yourself? Sophia said. When a guy chases a girl, it's like climbing a mountain. But when a girl chases a guy, it's just a thin curtain. You seriously don't get that. And honestly, this whole mess was your fault to begin with. Just go to a city and talk to him in person. You've got 4 years of history. Let him see your face. Say a few sweet things, it'll be fine. Besides, come on, our Willow is a total knockout. What guy could actually say no to you? Willow laughed and playfully smacked Sophia on the arm. Sophia giggled and ran away, but Willow realized Sophia had a point. For years of love wasn't some fleeting joke. You don't just let go like that. Thinking about Kevin's upcoming wedding, she had gone all out, hiring a famous designer and spending a fortune to custom order a diamond-studded wedding bow tie. The day Sophia drove her to a city, she teased her, "You know, showing up like this is gonna be one hell of a shock for the brothers. Kevin still has no idea you dated his little brother, does he?" Willow chuckled. "He'll know soon enough. I'm done hiding. I really want a future with George. After we reconcile, I want to set a date, make it official." Sophia's jaw dropped. "Wait, for real? You're at the peak of your career right now. Getting married could totally tank your momentum." Willow smiled. "Yeah, I used to think everything mattered more than love, but now, it's different. Nothing matters more than him." Sophia rolled her eyes dramatically. "Ugh, great. Lou the gorgeous queen has officially gone love-brained." Willow just smiled without saying a word. On the flight to a city, Willow spent a long time thinking. How was she going to explain everything to George? And of course, how would she explain it to Kevin? As soon as she got off the plane, a message from Kevin popped up. He asked if she'd make it in time. The engagement ceremony was about to begin. Not wanting to cause any delays, Willow rushed to the hotel, quickly got ready, did her makeup. This was the first time she'd be seeing George since he left. She didn't want him to see her looking anything less than her best. The moment she walked into the engagement hotel, Diego stood up and waved her over. He looked excited. "Kevin said you might be coming. We thought he was just joking." "Can't believe it's true." Luis joined in with a playful grin. TSK, who is this? Haven't seen you in years, and you've only gotten more beautiful." Willow laughed and chatted with them for a moment, then pulled out her phone to reply to Kevin, "I'm here." After that, she started scanning the busy crowd, searching for a familiar silhouette, searching for him. She had no idea if George even knew she was coming today. Engagement parties were different from weddings, less formality, fewer rituals. It didn't really matter where anyone sat. Soon, the music began. The parents of both families were seated in the front row, center stage. Then, from the back of the room, a girl in a traditional qipao walked out. She was stunning, graceful, elegant. She looked perfect next to Kevin. And then, from the opposite side, Kevin appeared and walked over, not to the stage, but to the main table reserved for close family and friends. That's when Willow suddenly felt something was off. Wait, wasn't this Kevin's engagement party? Then why isn't he the one getting engaged? Chapter 22. Willow felt a bit confused. Was it someone else's engagement? But back in the day, the only reason Willow was in City A was because she went to college there, and she didn't have many friends. Other than Kevin, the only people she knew were Luis and Diego. Among the girls, her closest friend was Sophia, who was also studying in City A. If it wasn't one of these people getting engaged, then why did Kevin ask her to come? With this doubt in mind, Willow turned to Diego next to her. "Who is this girl? Isn't Kevin the one getting engaged today?" Diego explained with slight surprise. "So you really don't know anything? Huh? That girl is a professor from the art department at City A University. She's pretty famous." Willow nodded but still felt something was off. Wait, just now, when the elders took their seats, those were definitely Kevin's parents. She'd even met them before when she visited his house. So if it wasn't Kevin who was getting engaged, then who could it be? Just as she was thinking this, the groom, dressed in a new-style Chinese suit, came out from the back. Luis clicked his tongue in admiration. "Look at George, that kid. When we used to hang out, he was still so little, and now he's getting married." Diego shook his head as well. "Exactly. The point is, George is about to have a family, but there's not even a shadow of anything going on for Kevin." "Hey Luis, I remember your daughter's 1-month celebration is next month, right?" Listening to their conversation, Willow felt like a thunderbolt had struck her mind. Her heart suddenly tightened, mixed with a bit of unwillingness. She asked, "George is the one getting engaged today?" Diego and Luis looked at each other. "Yeah, didn't Kevin tell you before you came?" After getting their definite answer, Willow felt like her soul had been sucked out of her body. She was instantly dizzy, almost falling off her chair. Luis caught her. Diego leaned over, concerned. "What's wrong? Not feeling well? Why is your face so pale?" Willow never expected that the engagement party she was attending today was actually for George. She felt like all the blood in her body was flowing backward. It was like she'd sunk to the bottom of a deep sea. No, how could he marry someone else? He could only be her little rascal. She didn't want him to be with anyone else. With this thought, Willow suddenly stood up and walked straight toward George. Her sudden abnormal behavior stunned both Luis and Diego. By the time Luis realized what was happening and tried to grab her, it was already too late. When Willow appeared in front of me, everyone around froze, except for me. She stared at me with cold eyes, opened her mouth as if to speak. She wanted to ask me why. Why, after such a short separation, was I suddenly getting married? But at that moment, her throat felt as if someone was choking it, and she couldn't say a single word. Expressionless, I glanced at the security staff maintaining order nearby. They'd seen plenty of wedding crashers before and immediately understood what was going on. They walked over and gently pulled Willow back, keeping her from rushing forward. I indicated that I'd explain everything after the ceremony was over. Fortunately, the people on the other side were generous and didn't make a fuss about it. Right at that moment, it was time for the engagement ceremony, the newlyweds serving tea to both sets of parents. Willow would never forget the look in my eyes, full of love, as I looked at my fiancé, and the way I called someone else's parents mom and dad. At that moment, Willow felt the world spinning. Everything went black, and she lost all consciousness. When she woke up, she was already in a hotel room upstairs. In front of her was Kevin, his face clouded and dark. Actually, ever since Willow called him earlier, he'd felt that something was wrong. He just hadn't wanted to believe that his younger brother and Willow really had something between them. But when Willow rushed over earlier today, it pretty much confirmed the suspicion he least wanted to accept. The moment Willow sat up, tears fell from her eyes. She suddenly realized this was the first time she'd ever cried for George. In the past, she had always been so willful, always doing whatever she wanted. But now, he would never coax her or tolerate her again. Say it yourself. Kevin's voice was even darker than his expression. Willow glanced at Luis and Diego, who sat in the room with their heads down, silent, and gave a bitter smile. Yes, the woman who's been with George for 4 years, that's me. Her voice was weak, but it didn't arouse a shred of sympathy from Kevin. Kevin clenched his fists tightly. If Willow hadn't been a woman, he might have hit her in the next second. Chapter 23. 4 years. A whole 4 years. Willow, wasn't it enough that you lied to me back then? You just had to go and ruin my little brother too. After you broke up with me, did you already make up your mind to seduce my brother? The more Kevin spoke, the more agitated he became, even using the word seduce. Even though, with Willow's looks, she really didn't need to seduce anyone. But if this wasn't seduction, then what was it? Why had he been so afraid back then that George would keep in touch with Willow? It was because he was afraid that his naive little brother, with a face that looked even more like Makoto than his own, would get pulled in, and in the end, the very thing he feared most actually happened. Willow's tears kept falling. She shook her head. I didn't. She wanted to explain, but now, no matter what she said, it all sounded empty. Enough. If you can't make up a better story, then just leave it. I used to think, after all these years, that maybe we could still be friends, but now it's clear, there's no point. Leave. None of my family wants to see you again. Kevin was so angry that he turned around. His face flushed red. Diego stood up, walked over to Willow, and wasn't in a good mood either. Just go. We all know what happened back then. Why make it so ugly? No one's coming out of this looking good. You should rest. Once you feel better, I'll help you book a ticket. Luis also tried to calm Kevin down, reminding him there was still unfinished business and urging him to get back to it quickly. After Kevin left, Willow finally burst into tears. She knew that this time, her little rascal was truly gone for good. Luis looked at her, sighed, and shook his head as he left. As he walked out, he left behind one sentence: you reap what you sow. No one knew how long Willow cried. Her makeup was completely ruined. But she didn't want to leave. She just wanted to see George one more time. Even if there was no future between them, there still needed to be an ending. Downstairs, Kevin had put his smile back on as he walked up to me, patting me on the shoulder. I smiled and nodded at him. Ever since we were kids, my brother and I had been different from other siblings. We never fought and rarely argued. In our parents' loving household, brotherly love and mutual respect just came naturally. We shared a kind of unspoken understanding. At any moment, a single look from Kevin and I knew exactly what I needed to do. Just like now, I understood. Kevin's eyes were complicated, filled with guilt and helplessness. All I could think was that, in these 4 years, the people I'd let down most were our parents and my big brother. In the end, Kevin said nothing more. During the toasting, he just wiped his tears away. Some clouds will always pass, and now it's all behind us. You're about to have your own family. I wish you happiness, little brother. I smiled and nodded, opened my arms, and hugged my big brother. Anna stood by, watching, her eyes blinking as she smiled too. After the engagement party ended and the guests had left, Kevin went to see our parents off. Once everything was wrapped up, I took Anna's hand and we walked out together. The sunshine was perfect. Just as we were about to get in the car, Willow ran over. In that moment, tiny Anna darted in front of me protectively. What surprised me most wasn't Willow's ruined makeup. But how so much energy could burst forth from Anna's small body? Willow stared at Anna, who was a head shorter than her, and gave a defeated smile. Then she looked at me and said, "How did I never notice before that this was your type? Let's talk." All I felt was a sense of irritation. I was already about to get married. So why was Willow still acting so high and mighty? Who was she putting on a show for? Anna looked at Willow with a trace of woman-to-woman pity in her eyes and shook her head. "What's the point of coming here? George will never leave with you." Maybe that pity completely stabbed Willow in the heart. She practically shouted, "That's not for you to say. I was with him for 4 years. How long have you been with him? Who do you think you are?" This time, before Anna could answer, I spoke up first. "And who are you? After deceiving me for 4 years, treating me as a stand-in." "Willow, let's be clear, she's my wife. We already registered our marriage before the engagement. If there's anyone who shouldn't be speaking here, it's you." Chapter 24. My calm words completely shattered Willow, but I didn't want to get entangled any longer. Things had reached this point, and it was time for closure. I looked down and gently told Anna to wait for me in the car. Finally, I patted her head, reassuring her not to worry. Anna nodded in the end and left first. As soon as Anna was gone, Willow's whole demeanor changed. The confidence from moments before vanished entirely. Huge tears fell, one after another, onto the ground. She tried to reach for my hand, but I stepped back to avoid her. My tone was utterly cold. "Actually, it's a good thing you came today. At least you saw everything with your own eyes. Let's not see each other again after this. Let's just pretend we never knew each other. So if you have anything left to say it now." My words made Willow's pain even worse, adding insult to injury. She still couldn't believe that the men who used to love her so much could treat her like this now. Absurd ideas flashed through her mind. She even started to doubt whether the person standing in front of her was really George. She thought of alien abductions, anything but facing the truth. How can you just say we're breaking up after everything we've been through? "George, please, come back with me." "Okay, I promise. I won't mess around anymore. I won't be willful as long as you agree. I'll even quit my job and stay home with you." "Okay." Willow sobbed pitifully, her whole body shaking, but her words didn't bring out any sympathy in me. If anything, I just felt a deep sadness for her. "It's too late, Willow. You should have known this day would come when you treated me the way you did." When I finished, Willow cried and shook her head. "It's not too late. It's not too late, as long as you're willing." "Nothing is too late." I gave a cold laugh. "But I'm not willing." Willow froze, biting her lip hard. When she looked up into my eyes again, she finally understood. There was no going back. No matter how low she lowered herself, it was over. Completely and utterly over. In the end, I knew her a little better than she knew herself. I sighed and said, "Have some dignity. Don't do this to yourself." Willow said nothing more. I was right. It was all her fault. She couldn't even bring herself to say sorry. How could she expect me to forgive her? I'd walked these 4 years step by step. No one knew better than me how hard, how painful it was. I kept lying to myself, but after Makoto appeared, I finally realized no one else had ever come between us, because the one who isn't loved is always the third wheel. I was the third wheel all along. So, I gave up. Now, I finally have a girl who loves me with all her heart. I'll cherish her, and spend my life with her. "Go back. You never really loved me, did you? You should know. When we were together I always said, I'd never use breaking up as a threat. If one day I do decide to break up, it can only mean one thing," I said quietly. "It's because I don't love you anymore." Every word was crystal clear. My words were like sharp blades, stabbing into Willow's heart again and again. She was in so much pain that she couldn't say a single word. "All I want now is to love someone I love, who also loves me. I don't blame you, but I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. I just want to live my own life, to be with the one I love, to be with my family. If you really feel sorry for what you did to me, then leave my social circle. From now on, let's just be strangers and never see each other again." After I finished, I didn't look at Willow again. I turned and, smiling, walked toward Anna. Some people are just meant to be this way. Some endings are set from the very beginning. That evening, while we took a walk, Anna held my hand tightly. The air was filled with the fragrance of white flowers. I couldn't quite name the scent, but it had a special kind of subtle sweetness. We walked and walked until we reached our new home. That was going to be our future home, a brand new life, saying goodbye to the past and starting over. The house was already decorated, and all the furnishings were chosen by Anna and me together. Every painting hanging on the wall was painted by Anna herself. Each one was full of love for life and a passion for living. Every sunflower radiated vitality and grew toward the sun. Anna leaned on my shoulder and looked around the room. Suddenly, as if she remembered something, she pulled me onto the balcony. A canvas was set up in front of us. Anna pulled me down to sit with her, prepared the paints, and placed the brush in my hand. Then she pulled open the curtains. The lights of 1,000 homes shone brightly outside the window. It was stunningly beautiful, Anna said. Life is always a cycle of night and day. She is the rising sun, and I am more like the calm of the night. It had been a long time since I picked up a paintbrush, so I was nervous, worried I wouldn't do it well. With the brush dipped in paint, I hesitated, unable to start. Suddenly, a warm hand covered mine, guiding me to paint a stroke of deep blue. At that moment, we both laughed. I turned my head and saw Anna's long eyelashes and gentle eyes. I said, "Thank you, Professor Sue. Thank you for bringing so much sunshine into my life. Thank you for making me feel so much warmth." Anna turned her head and gently kissed my forehead. "You're welcome, Mr. Wang. I hope you'll take care of me for the rest of our lives."